I asked today to be the last person to speak because what I wanted to model in the arrangement of these lectures was what I believe is the position of theology, and indeed what the theologians of the Catholic tradition believed, still most of them do believe, is that we listen to science. Now, it may come as a surprise to many of you that the Catholic Church does not claim to have knowledge about when life begins, which is independent of science. So the Catholic Church, in its teaching on abortion, is not claiming a theological source for its position of abortion being the taking of life. One of the most important reasons for prohibiting abortion, something that later Christian theologians make much of, is that abortion was sought to cover lust, immoral sexual behavior, that a woman who got pregnant outside of marriage would seek an abortion to hide her vice. Later, Christians would say her sin. That was the sin of abortion, not the taking of a human life. In many ways, it is Aristotle's science that became the science of the Catholic Church on which it based its teaching of abortion. Now, in Aristotle, there are two ways of approaching this question: when does life begin? The first, which is the question of when is the fetus formed? Now, in Aristotle's biology, he believed that human beings are basically made up of our bodies. But how does that our bodies know what shape to take on? How do our bodies become actual individual entities? And the answer to that was that during generation, procreation, the male sperm delivered the form, the woman delivered the matter. So the understanding was that the male sperm provided the blueprint for the matter in the woman's womb to be formed into a human individual. So the question of the unformed or formed fetus is the question of when does a fetus become an individual. But that is only one part of the question for Aristotle: when does life begin? The next question is, at what point does a fetus gain an intelligent soul? Now, one of the important things to know about ancient understandings of the soul, which were later taken up by Christian Catholic theologians, is that there are several levels of the soul. Aquinas, who is so important for the development of the Catholic tradition, and very much utilized Aristotle's teaching on the souls and the various levels and hierarchy of the soul. He understood from Aristotle that the fetus does not initially have an intelligent soul. So it's only at a certain stage that a human fetus moves from these lower levels of soul to the level of the intelligent soul, the rational soul. And famously, following Aristotle, Aquinas placed this at 40 days for male, 90 days for a female. Now, is this what makes a human person? When you actually have very clearly a human person is at the point of birth, because at that point you have not only a human individual, not only a potential person, but somebody who is now independently of their mother interacting with the world. I do not think that you have an independent human person until birth. That birth has to be the cutoff point. It may seem in some cases arbitrary, but there are good reasons to make this arbitrary line. When we discuss this theologically, the basic premise that we should be thinking of in terms of the unborn child is what will most benefit the born child. So the real question of what is our obligation to the unborn is the question of what are in the interests of the born child. Thank you.